All right, welcome everyone to a deep dive that I think is going to be pretty exciting. We're going to be talking about aircraft interior technicians today.
Absolutely. This is a really interesting field.
Yeah, and we're kind of focusing on getting you ready for a job interview.
Right, right.
So we're going to be pulling a lot of information from RoleCatcher. They've got a really great career guide, interview guide, and then we can pull in some AI insights as well.
Yeah, this is going to be good.
So are you ready? Imagine yourself stepping into a hangar. You can smell the jet fuel, and you're about to impress those hiring managers.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, so when we're talking about aircraft interior technicians, what are we really talking about?
So, this is about way more than just knowing how to use tools, right? This is about having a deep understanding of what those hiring managers are really looking for so you can really stand out.
Yeah, and I think even before we get to what the hiring managers are looking for, even if we just step back, like, what do these folks do?
Yeah, it's more than just, fixing tray tables. It's really high-end craftsmanship, but in a flying metal tube, you know?
Right, like they're the ones that put together those beautiful first-class seats that we see in the magazines.
Exactly. They are the ones that do the intricate lighting, the entertainment
Right.
systems, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and the career guide even says that these techs are responsible for, I mean, like you said, everything.
Mm.
Everything from those plush seats to that really intricate lighting.
It's wild how much goes into it.
Oh, yeah. To even the systems that keep us entertained when we're like 30,000 feet in the air.
Right. And that's where things get even more interesting. I mean, the industry's booming, air travel is only increasing, there are new aircraft models all the time, so there's a ton of opportunity, but that also means you have to stay on top of the latest tech.
Yeah, for sure.
Think about all the lightweight materials being used now, carbon fiber composites, 3D printing, and it's all changing so fast.
Yeah, it's not duct tape and a prayer anymore.
Definitely not.
No. This kind of leads perfectly into one of RoleCatcher's sample interview questions, and it's, what experience do you have in aircraft interior maintenance and repair?
Yeah, this is your moment. This is where you really get to show them your passion, your knowledge, and don't just list off what you did in your previous roles. You want to bring those experiences to life.
Mhm.
So, tell them about that time you fixed a faulty overhead bin right before a flight and saved everyone from luggage chaos.
Right, like those moments where you really, went above and beyond, or you figured something out that saved the day. Those are the things they want to hear.
Exactly, because that's what really demonstrates that you can handle these real-world situations. And these are crucial moments that directly impact passenger safety and comfort, right?
Of course.
Now, they might follow up with something like, can you describe a time you had to troubleshoot a complex problem related to an aircraft interior system?
Oh, wow, that's getting specific. So they really want to see how you think on your feet.
Yeah, they want to see your problem-solving skills in action. That's where RoleCatcher's AI can actually come in handy. It helps you identify the keywords in the job description and tailor your examples accordingly. So, let's say you've got experience with a specific in-flight entertainment system. Well, that's gold. Mention your knowledge of troubleshooting techniques like network diagnostics, software updates, anything relevant like that.
It's like RoleCatcher is giving you a cheat sheet for the interview.
In a way, yeah.
So even with the best prep in the world, this job does have its challenges. The career guide mentions long hours, noise, working in confined spaces sometimes.
Right, and you definitely can't forget about those really strict safety regulations, right? Even a tiny mistake in aviation, it can have huge consequences.
Absolutely. Speaking of safety, RoleCatcher has another question, their second one. How do you ensure the safety and reliability of aircraft interiors? So it's not just about doing the job, it's about doing it really, really well.
Exactly, and it's not enough to just say, I'm careful, you know? You really have to think about those details, even the ones that seem small, because they can have massive implications.
Yeah, I mean, making sure a seat is properly secured, a panel's fastened correctly, this is literally life or death stuff.
Absolutely, and you can bet they're going to have follow-up questions to really dig into that. They might ask, can you give an example of a time you identified and addressed a potential safety hazard related to an aircraft interior component?
Okay, so they're going to want a story. They're going to want to hear how you actually did this.
Right, so think about a time when maybe you caught a loose screw during inspection or you noticed a wiring issue that could have caused a big problem.
Or maybe you followed a specific safety protocol and prevented a huge issue later on. Like those are the stories that really demonstrate your commitment to safety.
Exactly. And you're going above and beyond, not just ticking boxes on a checklist. And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can be super helpful.
Okay, how so?
Well, it can actually analyze your practice responses, highlight areas where you can add more detail, or tailor your examples to resonate with the specific airline's safety culture.
It's like having an interview coach in your pocket.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we've talked about the technical stuff, safety, but this industry is always changing, right?
Always.
So there are constantly new materials, new technologies popping up. And that takes us to RoleCatcher's third question, which is, how do you stay up to date with industry trends and regulations?
Yeah, this is where you show them you're not just a mechanic, you're a lifelong learner, right?
All right.
So do you subscribe to industry publications? Do you attend webinars? Do you have a favorite aviation blog? Let them know.
Right. So it could be Aviation Week or, those webinars that are talking about like carbon fiber materials.
Right.
Or maybe there's a cool podcast out there.
Exactly. And you know what? Even mentioning that shows them that you're genuinely interested in what's happening in the field, that you're passionate about it.
And that you're not just going to get the job and then be like, all right, I'm done learning.
Exactly, exactly. But I bet they're going to ask something more specific too, like what specific steps do you take to ensure your knowledge of FAA regulations is current?
Oh, yeah, because those are super important. And those change too. So how do you stay on top of those?
Right, so talk about your process for that. Do you attend mandatory training? Do you review updated manuals? Do you participate in any online forums with other technicians?
It shows you're proactive about staying compliant and that you're safety conscious.
And speaking of staying ahead, guess what? RoleCatcher's AI platform has a constantly updated library of all that stuff. Career guides, industry news, summaries of those FAA regulations. You literally have it all at your fingertips.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit now to a question that might feel a little tricky. It's, how do you handle difficult customers or situations? Now, granted, you're not going to be dealing directly with angry passengers as an aircraft interior technician.
Right, but you're probably going to have a demanding project manager or, a design change that comes in at the last minute.
Exactly. Or maybe a colleague who just has a different approach to things.
Right.
They want to see how you stay professional when you're under pressure.
So how do you stay calm, listen, and figure out solutions?
Right. And how do you present that to them? So be ready for a follow-up question. Like, can you describe a time you had to work with a challenging team member to achieve a common goal? Focus on those communication skills, those conflict resolution skills. Did you facilitate a compromise? Did you find a creative solution that addressed everybody's concerns?
Right, those are the types of stories that they're looking for.
Exactly. And you know what's really cool? RoleCatcher's AI can actually analyze your tone of voice and word choice when you're practicing these answers.
No way.
Yeah, so it's like a virtual lie detector test, but in a good way. It helps you identify any unconscious biases or negativity that might be creeping into your responses.
Okay, that's wild. That's really cool. Okay, so question number 5. How do you prioritize and manage your workload?
All right, so aircraft interiors, it's a lot of moving parts, right?
Yeah.
So organization is key. Think about your system. Do you use a color-coded calendar, project management software? How do you break down those big tasks into smaller steps? They want to hear about your process.
Yeah, and you probably have a system. Everybody has some way that they stay organized. So think about yours and how you would explain it to someone.
Exactly. And don't be surprised if they ask, can you describe a time you had to juggle multiple projects with competing deadlines?
Well, I'm sure that happens all the time, especially in aviation, right? Everything's got to be on time, on schedule.
Absolutely. And this is your chance to shine, right? Pick a project where you really showcased your ability to manage time, resources, and maybe even handle some unexpected setbacks. Maybe there's a last-minute design change, or you had to coordinate with other teams to stay on schedule. Tell them about it.
This is where you get to brag a little.
A little bit, yeah. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can come in handy here too. Their platform has this great feature where you can actually input your answers to these practice interview questions and get feedback.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's like having a coach who can help you fine-tune your approach, make sure your responses are clear, concise, and compelling.
So we've covered 5 really important interview questions so far, but guess what? We've got more. We'll be right back to cover the rest. Okay, we're back, and we've got more of those interview questions that could make or break your chances of becoming an aircraft interior technician.
And don't forget, we're using RoleCatcher as our guide here, and their AI platform is like having a secret weapon to help you ace that interview.
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground, but we still have a few more questions to unpack.
So let's jump right back in with question number 6. How do you ensure quality control in your work? This one is all about showcasing your attention to detail and how you make sure everything is done right.
Because a loose screw in an airplane cabin is not the same as a wobbly chair leg at home.
Right. Exactly, the stakes are much higher here.
For sure.
So when you're answering this question, you really want to highlight the systems you use to double-check your work. Maybe you have a personal checklist that you follow religiously for every single task.
Mm-hmm.
Or perhaps you have a specific method for labeling and organizing parts so you don't mix anything up.
Right. And don't forget about those detailed maintenance manuals. Those are like your Bible in this industry.
Absolutely. Mentioning how you carefully adhere to those manuals shows the interviewer that you're committed to following procedures and making sure everything is done by the book.
And I bet they'll follow up with something like, can you describe a time you identified and addressed a potential quality issue in your work?
Oh, absolutely. They want a real-world example.
Yeah, they want to hear those stories.
Exactly. So think back. Remember that time you spotted a tiny discrepancy in a blueprint that could have led to a major problem down the line if it had been overlooked?
Oh, yeah.
That's the kind of story that demonstrates your sharp eye for detail and your commitment to excellence.
Absolutely. It shows you're not just going through the motions, but you're really thinking about quality at every single step.
Right, and RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you practice telling those stories in a clear and compelling way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it analyzes your responses and provides feedback on how to make your examples even more impactful. It's like having a storytelling coach for your interview.
I love that. Okay, let's move on to question number 7. How do you incorporate new technologies and materials into your work? We've touched on this before, but this industry is constantly changing, so staying on top of the latest advancements is super important.
Absolutely. Think lightweight carbon fiber composites, 3D printing, advanced avionics systems. It's a whole new world compared to even a few years ago.
It's amazing how much technology has changed aviation.
It really is.
So how do you stay up to date? Do you attend industry conferences, read trade publications, follow aviation blogs or forums?
Maybe you've got a favorite YouTube channel that breaks down complex technical concepts, anything like that, you should mention it.
Yeah, for sure.
It shows you're genuinely passionate about learning and staying at the forefront of your field.
Right, but I'm sure they're going to want specific examples too. Something like, what's a recent technological advancement in aircraft interiors that you've learned about, and how do you see it impacting your work?
Yes, they're going to want you to go a little deeper there.
Yeah.
And this is where you can geek out a little bit. Talk about that online course you took on 3D printing for aircraft components, or maybe how you've been researching the use of bio-based materials for a more sustainable cabin design.
Great, show them what you're learning.
Exactly. It's all about demonstrating that you're not just keeping up, but you're actively seeking ways to improve your skills and contribute to the future of aviation.
I love that. And speaking of staying ahead of the curve, don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI platform has a ton of resources on industry trends and innovations. You can literally have information on those cutting-edge materials and manufacturing techniques right at your fingertips.
It's an incredible tool.
It really is. Okay, question number 8. How do you ensure that all work is completed on time and within budget? Now, this one might sound a little intimidating, but it's really about showcasing your organizational skills and your ability to think like a project manager.
Yeah, this is about showing them that you can handle responsibility.
For sure.
So think about the projects you've worked on in the past. How did you manage your time effectively? Did you break down tasks into smaller, more manageable steps? Did you use any specific tools or strategies to stay organized and meet deadlines?
Maybe you live and breathe by a detailed spreadsheet, or maybe you're a visual person who loves using a color-coded timeline to keep track of everything.
Whatever your method is, explain it clearly and give them specific examples of how you've successfully managed projects in the past.
Right. And even if you haven't worked on massive aviation projects before, you can draw on experiences from other parts of your life.
Absolutely. Maybe you managed a team for a school project, organized a fundraising event, or even planned an elaborate road trip.
I like that, yeah.
All of those experiences demonstrate your ability to plan, prioritize, and execute effectively. It's all about those transferable skills.
Exactly.
And to really nail this portion, think about those potential follow-ups. They might ask you something like, can you describe a time you had to adjust your work plan due to unforeseen circumstances?
Oh, yeah, because things don't always go according to plan, especially in a field like aviation, I imagine.
Right, so this is your chance to show off your adaptability and problem-solving skills. Maybe you had to reprioritize tasks because of a last-minute design change, or you had to come up with a creative solution to a supply chain issue.
Right. You got to be able to think on your feet.
Exactly. The key is to show them that you can think on your feet, that you can stay calm under pressure, and you can still deliver high-quality work even when things get a little crazy.
And once again, RoleCatcher's AI can be your secret weapon here. Their platform allows you to practice your responses to these tougher questions and get feedback on how to make them even stronger.
It's like having a personal interview coach to help you anticipate those tricky follow-up questions and really wow that hiring manager.
All right, we're on a roll here. Let's move on to question number 9, which is all about teamwork and leadership. How do you manage and motivate a team of technicians? Now, you might be thinking, wait, I'm applying for an entry-level position. Why are they asking me about leadership?
Yeah, it's a good question.
But even if you haven't had formal leadership experience, showcasing your leadership potential is always a good thing.
Exactly. It shows them that you're thinking beyond just the immediate tasks, that you're interested in taking on more responsibility in the future.
Right. And let's face it, teamwork is essential in this field. You're going to be collaborating with other technicians, engineers, project managers all the time.
Absolutely. So how do you approach teamwork and collaboration? Are you a good communicator? Do you listen to your colleagues' ideas? Do you offer support and encouragement?
Yeah, those are all really important things.
They are. Think about those times when you've worked really well as part of a team, even in casual settings. Maybe you were the captain of a sports team, or you organized a study group.
Or maybe you volunteer for a community project, something like that.
Exactly. Share an anecdote that highlights your ability to bring people together, motivate them, and achieve a shared goal.
And be ready for those follow-up questions like, describe a time you had to resolve a conflict within a team.
Oh, they're definitely going to ask about conflict resolution.
They want to see how you handle those tricky situations.
Exactly. This is your chance to shine as a mediator, as a problem solver. Did you help facilitate a compromise? Did you encourage open communication and active listening? Did you find a solution that worked for everyone?
Right, because leadership is about more than just giving orders. It's about inspiring people to do their best work and creating a positive and productive environment.
Absolutely. And guess what? RoleCatcher's AI can help you fine-tune your answers to these leadership-focused questions, ensuring you come across as confident, collaborative, and ready to take on those new challenges.
It's like having a virtual mentor guiding you on how to present yourself as a future leader in aviation.
Exactly.
Welcome back to our deep dive, everyone. We've made it to the final part.
We've gone through those tough aircraft interior technician interview questions, and now, well, now it's time to refine things. We got to make sure you can deliver those answers smoothly. And that's where AI can really help.
So it's like, what, flight simulation for your career?
Exactly. Think of RoleCatcher's AI as your personal interview coach, helping you practice, refine your responses before the actual interview.
It's like having, that secret weapon, right? Something to give you that extra edge when you're facing those tricky questions.
It can make all the difference. So how does this whole AI magic work? RoleCatcher has this cool feature where you record yourself answering practice questions like a mock interview, but with the added power of AI analysis.
So their system actually listens to your responses.
It does. Their algorithms analyze everything, your tone, your pacing, how clearly you're speaking. It's like having a speech coach, but without the nerves of being on stage.
So it's giving you feedback on how you sound.
Precisely. And here's where it gets really interesting. It gives you personalized feedback, highlighting areas you could improve. Maybe you're speaking too fast, using too much jargon, or not giving enough concrete examples. The AI picks up on these things and offers suggestions.
It's like having a stylist, but for your interview answers.
Right, helping you polish your presentation and make a real impact. And speaking of impact, let's circle back to something we've touched on throughout this whole deep dive, the power of specific examples.
Because those are what really make your answers stand out.
Absolutely. Don't just rely on general statements. Back up your claims with real stories from your experience. So let's say you're asked about your experience with aircraft interior maintenance. Instead of saying something generic like, I'm familiar with various repair techniques.
Right. Give them something concrete.
Exactly. You could say something like, in my previous role, I was responsible for repairing aircraft seats, and once I had to troubleshoot a really complex problem with a reclining mechanism. Using my knowledge of hydraulic systems and my problem-solving skills, I was able to identify the issue, fix it quickly, and make sure the aircraft was ready for departure.
Wow. Yeah, that's a much better answer. It paints a picture.
It does. That specific example shows the interviewer you have actual real-world experience, not just textbook knowledge.
I can see you in action.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you refine those examples, ensuring they hit the mark for that specific airline and the particular role you're going for.
So it helps you tailor your answers even more.
And remember those keywords we talked about? RoleCatcher's AI can analyze that job description and highlight the skills and experience the employer is really looking for.
So make sure you use those keywords in your answers.
Exactly. Use that information to your advantage. Make sure your answers are hitting those key points. So if they're emphasizing problem-solving abilities, share a story that showcases your critical thinking and your ability to come up with solutions.
So you're showing them you really understand what they're looking for.
Exactly. You've done your research, you get the role, and they can see that you're the ideal candidate. And while those technical skills, the experience, that's all super important, don't forget about those soft skills. Those are the things that make you a valuable team member.
Right, those personal qualities that make you stand out.
Yes, we're talking about communication, collaboration, problem solving, being adaptable, having a positive attitude. These are just as important as your technical abilities, especially in a field like aviation where things move fast.
And those soft skills really come through in how you present yourself, how you answer those behavioral questions.
Absolutely. So if you're asked about a time you dealt with a difficult situation, don't just focus on the technical stuff. Talk about how you communicated effectively, how you stayed calm, how you found a solution that worked for everybody. Show them you're a team player.
So it's about showing them you can handle the people side of things too.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, RoleCatcher's AI can even help you practice those behavioral questions. Their platform has a library of these competency-based questions, all focusing on those essential soft skills. And of course, you get feedback on how to highlight those personal qualities.
So it's really a comprehensive tool for interview prep.
It is.
Yeah.
So there you have it. We've covered a ton of ground in this deep dive. We talked about understanding the role of an aircraft interior technician, crafting those really strong answers, and how to use the power of AI to really refine your interview skills.
Remember, preparation is key. Research the role thoroughly, practice your answers until you feel confident, and use all the resources at your disposal, including those incredible AI tools from RoleCatcher.
And most importantly, believe in yourself because you've got the skills, you've got the passion, and you have the dedication to succeed in this amazing field.
So go out there, nail that interview, and get ready to launch your career in aviation. We're all cheering for you.
Good luck!